Well, welcome to the second video in this series. In the last video, I shared with you an overview of Tai Chi, the source and lineage of the old Yang style, where it comes from, how it generated, how the Yang and the Wu are essentially the same style of Tai Chi and come from the exact same source, and the four energies Peng Yu Jian of Tai Chi. In this video, I want to share more with you about one Neigong principle, opening and closing, but also just touch a little bit on some of the other ones, because these are aspects of qigong and that are very often not taught within Tai Chi, but they were taught originally in Tai Chi. Now, classically, there were two ways Qi was taught in Tai Chi. If you were with a master, they would show you within the moves of Tai Chi, they would take one little Qi thing and take 3, 4, 5 moves, very often just from the beginning of Tai Chi, commencement through the single whip. And they would say, keep doing it, focusing on this. Or else they would have you stand in a posture, and you would stand in this for 20 minutes, half an hour, and they would tell you to focus on doing this one thing internally. But that usually required that students be near a teacher and be seeing him several times a week, and it also required students that when the teacher said, now you do this and you stay in the corner for the next hour till you can do it, that kind of went in time and people's discipline got less. So what's the other thing that happened? Learning how to do all these Qi things within a form is difficult because you're also doing the physical movements and so many things are happening. And then it started coming up, people said, well, I'll tell you what, we're just going to show you a qigong set, something with a few movements that's going to have this principle, and then you feed it into your Tai Chi. Now, if you talk about openings and closings or lengthenings in the body, at least in what I teach, the marriage of heaven and earth is a qigong set that does that. And that'll be included in the training circle. But the fact of the matter is that you also can learn this stuff within Tai Chi, and very often I'll be attempting to show this. Now, if we go through what's in general run-of-the-mill Tai Chi, well, everyone's going to tell you to relax, okay? And if it's a good Tai Chi school, they're going to tell you that at least your hand should be some distance away from your body and not kind of collapsed in and shrunken. But if you then go, if we would just take something like here, I'll take a very, very common move. Let's see if you were just going to look at this, brush knee and twist step. Well, some people will just say, okay, you're going to want to just try and get your arm and your waist to move together. Then it's going to be, okay, wait a second. Now you want to get alignments, which means your knees aren't collapsed. They're going to be out. Your shoulder's going to be down. Your elbows are going to be down rather than just kind of out this way. Your neck's not going to be crunched in. And those are external alignments. But then as it starts going further, they're going to teach you, well, wait a second. There's these other principles in Tai Chi. For example, Cheng Fu's 10 principles are going to say sink the chest, open up the back. And then they're going to start getting very technical about, well, how do you release your chest? How do you sink your ribs? How do you get your spine to raise up as you raise your back and drop your chest? There's going to be a lot of technical things. The opening and closing, a lot of people get confused because they think opening and closing is what in Chinese is called bend and stretch. And that's bending and stretching. And normally it starts with an opening isn't just in the joints. And that's a closing. It's an opening. The joints open up. It's a closing. The joints get smaller. They condense. But then it moves later on into you do that with internal organs. You do that with blood vessels. And you can actually, by the action of a closing, move the fluids. And the opening and closing, you can move fluids in your body one way or the other, which obviously you can't just see by looking at something. And as a matter of fact, I'm not even sure if science has the measuring devices that can do it, but I hope they do. And if they do, I hope one day that they stick me in a lab and I can show them this is within normal human capacity. It's not a weirdness. Now, if I was to just make an example, we just take the movements, just Peng Lu Jian. I'll just take a few simple movements here. So in the new Yang style, your hand, this would be Peng, right? In the old Yang style, it'll be here. But since I'm doing the old Yang style, I'll do the old Yang style. Here now, open. Your joints are opening. And this means every joint in your body. Now, your joints are closing. You're not just bending your arms. Your joints are closing, and that's leading the motion of your arm. It's closing, or you could say shrinking if you wanted to. Then you're going to open, and your joints are going to grow. Then they're going to close. Then they're going to open. Then they're going to open some more. Then they're going to close. Then they're going to open. Then they're going to close. Then they're going to open. Then they're going to close. So it's not just that you're going to be going, and I'm just relaxing my arms, and that's okay, and that's it, and I'm just getting relaxed. Hey, don't knock it. It's a really big thing. But when you start talking about internal energy flow, I'm not doing opening and closings now. I'm just relaxing, and I'm letting my body naturally bend and stretch. But that is not the same thing as and you can almost watch my body expanding slightly and contracting. Or shrinking, actually. Contracting is the wrong word. And you're opening. You're closing. Opening with the lift. Opening. Closing as you do on. So that is an example of opening and closing. But those things happen in every single move in a Tai Chi form. Just as while you're doing it, your arms could be twisting in or out, or you could be moving energy along the yang meridians and along the yin meridians, and so many other things. Well, why should you care if your body can open and close? I'm going to put this in a different way. Why should you care if your internal organs get stuck? If your internal organs, if they're easily always opening and closing, they become healthy. When they can open but they can't close, or they can close and they can't open, disease starts following it. For example, the whole subject of visceral osteopathy, you can read books on this subject and the 1,001 disease it brings upon you. But even without diseases, do you want power in your body? Now, let's look at this issue of power. You can trip out a little bit by thinking megalomaniac. And that actually, not to say that some people doing Tai Chi didn't become megalomaniacs, but you need a certain amount of power to digest food. This is doing everything to your liver and your spleen and your organs that's enabling you to digest food. You need power to make blood move through your system. Well, when you open your joints and all the fluids and you close down, when you open up, it shoots blood. It makes your blood vessels go like this. When you close, it makes them compress. If you do it where you're going out and you're opening, it takes blood from your heart to your extremities. If you close coming in, it brings blood from your extremities back to your heart. Is this useful? You could talk to any doctor and he'd be more than happy to tell you why, if you can't do those things, you get heart attacks. If you then start looking at you just want to have strength to do anything, when these fluids in your body move, the fluids in your joints, blood, lymph, the fluid that moves between your cells, to the degree to which they can open and close and those fluids move with more power, you have more vitality, you have greater mental alertness. And if you want to use it for, where you have to project power either in some kind of sport or something, you get more of it. If you can really open up your joint when you hit someone, all of a sudden you watch them go to sleep. But if you hit them and you don't, then you watch them stumble, but they stay awake. You could look at it as simple things like that. So opening and closings goes right down to the cellular level. This is what your cells are doing all the time. They're coming into each other, going away. So what you're trying to do is influence one of the primary rhythms, internal rhythms of the body, that everything that makes a body a joy to have does it well, and everything that makes a body a misery to have does it poorly. That's why you should care about openings and closings. Tai Chi is a circle. The beginning is the end is the beginning. As you keep on going around the circle, you just develop what was right from the very beginning, deeper and deeper and more and more. So if we just look at the first movement of Tai Chi, which is called commencement. You could do this purely by, okay, let's just get our arms to go up and get our arms to go out and get them to come in and get them to go down. That's fine. But then you also might be looking at, well, when you start, your joints want to open. They want to open more. Your joints want to close. They want to close more. Then you might look at it that your arms want to twist out when you're rising up. That's twisting out this way, and then they want to twist out this way. Then they want to twist in. Then they want to twist out. You could be looking at, as I come up, I want to get the energy to come out along the yang surfaces of my body. And as I go in, I want the energy to come in the yin surfaces of my body. And you have all sorts of things. Then if you look at the four energies in commencement, what you have is very simple. Your hand is first raising. As your hand is first raising, you're expanding energy. That's pung. The next movement, when your hands come together and the energy of both your pungs come together and triangulate into the center, you're doing the movement G, or press forward. Then when your hands come back and you're absorbing energy into your body, that's Liu, or roll back. And then when your hands press down and push the energy down your body and you're pressing everything below the floor, that's called An. And in every move in Tai Chi, no matter what it is, you're still going to have this Peng Lu Jian. For example, if I was here, this is An, or it could be Peng expanding downward. As your hand rises up, that's Peng. As your hand comes over to here, that's Liu, as you draw energy into you. As you go forward, that's Ji, and as your hand goes down, that's An. And then you have it with both hands, and you have in every single movement, in every mini part of the movement, you have whether you're doing Peng, Liu, Ji, and An in it. This is, for example, this is Peng. This is two Ans coming together. This is Liu, and then this is An going down. And that's Peng. As you come here, this is An, and that Peng and An meet. Then they come in and they form Bao, which is a Peng going in all directions. Then you come forward, and that's Ji, and then both hands do An into the ground. But again, this is stuff that in most Tai Chi forms is not made explicit. In the old Yang form, it was. Later on, it just became, well, just make sure that your movements are more or less doing what Peng, Liu, Ji, and An want to do, and that's where it got left off. Or if you were doing things in the Yang family, New Yang, they would tell you about closing from your center, and they would really talk about opening and closings, and they would talk about the twistings, and they would be talking about Peng, Liu, Ji, and An. But then when you got away from the New Yang and the direct people who learn with the Yang, so the Yang family itself, this stuff just it got lost in the shuffle, and it became a lot about movement, or just kind of softening and getting your intent. So it all depends upon what degree you're having what the original material was. In some cases, you have more of it. In some, you have less of it. It's like you have a library of 100 books. One library's got 100 books. One library, okay, let's take these 30 and throw them away. We got 7. Let's take another 40, throw it away. We got these left. And that's how Tai Chi changed over time. All I'm trying to do is just show what the original library was. Now, if we look at Neigong, there's 16 Neigong, and there's a lot of things in it. But you can have alignments, you can have opening and closings. Well, where exactly? You have to just understand this one thing. You could have a long closing and a very short opening, or you could have a long opening and a short closing, or you could have them be fairly even, half closing, half opening. And these are where you start getting into openings and closing. You can see it probably the most easiest in the movement, play the lute. You can actually see your arms are expanding, that's Peng, that's opening, and then they both close. And that's, in the move you're breaking somebody's arm, just But the fact of the matter is that you have a closing, you have a condensing, and then that, again, as soon as that closing is over, it moves into an opening. So you have this constant alternation between opening and closing in the form. So let's now look at Yang Cheng Fu's 10 principles. Well, if you're looking at Yang Cheng Fu's thing and you're going like this, and you're doing the first movement, okay, or you're doing it, for example, how Yang Cheng Fu would probably do it, which would be more like this. My head is basically straight, but people do it, can do it, do it. And Yang Cheng Fu was saying, don't do that. They could be doing this. Well, that's not a straight head. Your head's bouncing all over the place. Or it could be going to the side, or it could be just collapsing into your shoulders. Where he's talking about the neck, the head is straight. The neck is rising so that your head is up straight. Or you could be looking at, let's say, the next one of the correct position of the chest and back, Hanxiong Ba Bei. Well, a lot of people might do this like this, and you'll see this in Tai Chi classes all over the place, or people doing Tai Chi in a park. If they've only watched somebody as opposed to they've been taught how to do it. Chest is out, and they come back and they do it like this. It's the weightlifter special. Whereas he was talking about the fact that as your hands move, your back rises, your chest hollows. Now, well, this is a hollowing. And why do you hollow your chest? So everything drops into your belly. So that then when you move like this, Qi comes down from your face and moves from your chest down to your lower dantian without getting stuck anywhere. You have another one, for example, relaxation of the waist. Well, commencement is not the best one to show it in, but maybe Peng might be a better one. If you're talking about relaxation of the waist, you'll get people who will they'll turn, but then their waist will kind of collapse. Well, if it's relaxed, it actually lengthens out. The waist actually relaxes and stretches to its natural size, as opposed to it tenses or it collapses and it shrinks. So that would have to be, if you did it, your waist. Relaxing means to open in Tai Chi language. And that opening means that it's not compressed, but it's actually up and down. And you've got all sorts of other things, Anyway, there's 10 of them. Now, if you put all these things together, we've been talking about, Yang Cheng Fu's 10 principles, the Ne Gung, all the various technical points. This is what gives Tai Chi its power. And remember, it's not just power in the sense that I can, pick King Kong up. It's the power for you to have life inside you, to be healthy, to be strong, to be mentally clear. And then if you want to do the training to make yourself very physically powerful, you can do that. But it's a physical power that's not coming from muscle resistance. It's a physical power that's coming from getting all the yin-yang components of your body to work against each other, to work with each other and against each other in opposite directions. And that's why the yin-yang symbol is so important in Tai Chi. Because they take everything that's in the body, it's yin and it's yang side. Well, what's the relationship? What do you do with it? And that's where it comes from. Thank you very much. We're at the end of this. Thank you for joining me today. At the bottom of the screen, please leave a comment. Say what you thought of it. Say, what type of Tai Chi you do. What style, whatever. You could say whatever teacher. I'm very, very curious what's going on in the Tai Chi world. I mean, every time in the past 50 years I go to a place, I'm always curious, like what are people doing? And if you'd like to do that and you'd like to help, shall we say, in some way over time help the Tai Chi community to grow and be healthier and prosper and all that good stuff, please, we'd love to have your comments on the bottom.